Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Bloodfest. Love horror movies? Try surviving one.
Written and directed by Owen Egerton, starring Robbie Kay, Jacob Batalon, Seychelle Gabriel, and Barbara Dunkelman. This movie is from Rooster Teeth, the entertainment company that most people probably know for Red vs. Blue or Ruby, and it's about a horror festival that takes place on a campground, very similar to something like The Gathering of the Juggalos, where there's also clowns here, but there's vampires, there's werewolves, there's just a bunch of villains from horror movies that are basically set free, and all of these people that are attending this festival have to survive. At first we're like, this should be a real thing. By the end of it, no, it shouldn't. So what do we like?
I enjoyed the self-aware humor that this film brought to us. It's clearly paying homage to the horror genre, and they do a good job with it. They're just constantly making references to other horror movies, whether they're made up or real.
You can tell this was a labor of love because it had so many different tropes of its own while pointing the finger at other tropes as well.
What are you doing? You can't open that door. It'll be like a cat or like a rake, and then we'll all breathe a sigh of relief, and then something will pounce from the other direction. James Wan has made a career on that shit tax. Please don't.
So the writer obviously is a horror fan. He included a lot of elements that I think horror fans are gonna love. It's upbeat. There's basically a villain from every genre, so you're probably going to enjoy those. But there's also a ton of great kills. And you might have 50 Leatherfaces with chainsaws wearing pig masks running at you. Or maybe there's like a saw trap in one situation. There's so many different elements that they get to play with, and the blood looked great.
They don't just like cut away. You see people get cut in half, decapitated, necks ripped off. They just do a really good job when it comes to showcasing the gore, because this is one of the key aspects that you look for in these style of films.
The production value is also really great. It looks like a very well thought out festival. From the signs and the branding, just like the camera moves, the lighting, everything is just top notch. And I hope this becomes a series.
I enjoyed all the characters in this film, not only to what they brought to the story, but the actors themselves and what they brought to the movie. They did a great job playing the part. In particular, Krill. I definitely enjoyed him. I thought he was hilarious. He was like the comic relief. A lot of you would know him from the most recent Spider-Man film as Ned. I felt he was a cooler nerd in this one.
3 new subscribers, none of them relatives. Boom, boom, bah.
Except he hacks Overwatch, which I have a huge problem with.
Y'all see my Overwatch post? I hacked the game code, got all badass on ultimate skills.
I pretty much liked all of our characters. I think Dax was a super strong lead because he's the guy who knows all the rules, so he needs to keep everybody in line and say, like, hey, don't run off by yourself. And hey, you get back here. You're still a virgin, right? Okay. And so he kind of herds people together and is pretty good. And he has kind of like this slow love interest thing going on with Sam. But the surprising relationship that comes between Krill and Ashley is what you're hoping for.
And then you got Chris Dubek, who plays an actor in this movie who is a well-known slasher in this universe known as the Arborist. He just hated the fact that he's known as this serial killer and wants to be known as a legitimate actor. It's just like meeting your hero and then getting your dreams crushed. This guy was like a good dream crusher, but as the film goes on, you really appreciate his character. He was a nice addition to our 4 young cast members. But Owen Egerton, who plays Walsh, the guy who's running Bloodfest, I just loved how animated it was. He was passionate. He did a good job. He was like putting on this awesome show. He had like a cool look. He was just a good antagonist and an entertaining one.
Go wide on the cultists. Yeah. Now, smash cut to the Yeti.
The main thing that I liked was the fact that this is just an upbeat movie. And we don't often get like highly produced fun slasher movies these days. Now, what didn't we like?
Despite that this film did a good job with its tropes and being self-aware, I felt they had a lot of missed opportunities. There was so much going on and so much that you wanted to see happen that didn't happen. And a prime example is the Arborist.
Whoa, he trimmed the beard.
Dax, you gotta go meet him.
It's the Arborist.
I felt that you have someone being the slasher of the Arborist and the actual actor who plays the Arborist not have a proper showdown was a missed opportunity, a huge one.
They also almost set themselves up for failure by showing this cool festival ground, because one of the other issues that I had was a lot of the movie takes place underground, underneath the campground itself. So they have all this cool chaos happening above ground, and our main leads are below it all. So you don't get to see a lot of the action that you'd hope for, and you know damn well is happening up there because there's thousands of people getting massacred. But that's the kind of situation where they were set up for success and inevitably failed on a big portion of this movie closer to the back end of it. It really slows down to a halt and not a lot happens. And the things that do happen are just not as cool as you've seen before in the film. Part of this might also come with the fact that I guessed how the movie would end and I was accurate.
Surprisingly, this film had tons of characters in it, but not enough fodder. I really felt that we could have used a couple one-off characters that they could have ran into as they're going from place to place, and that character dies, because pretty much you're given 4 characters and you're just waiting to see which one of these 4 main characters isn't gonna survive.
It could even potentially be comic relief. Just cut to a couple stoner kids and they stumble upon some of the areas that our main characters couldn't possibly get to, just to kind of show off some of the other sections and to have one-off jokes.
Krill split up early in the film, ran into the vampires, and then he was back with the group. So you needed more of them getting split up and having to run into someone at a different part of the park, and the person they meet ends up dying. Not all 4 of you are together. Who's gonna get stabbed?
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. This was a really fun movie because it was upbeat, it was very self-aware, and it had a lot of things that horror fans are really going to enjoy. I love the setup and the whole like festival idea, and a lot of it was really well done because you did have all of these different interactions with horror creatures. It reminded me a little bit of Cabin in the Woods mixed with something like Funhouse Massacre. But unfortunately, it wasn't all great because I did feel that they really dropped the ball when it came to like the last third of the movie or so, because our main leads really aren't doing too much. But at the end of the day, I did enjoy myself and I would recommend this. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 red chrome skulls out of 5.
I think this is a film that every horror fan should go out and watch. I loved all of our characters. I loved how they interacted with each other and how self-aware they were of the situations that were taking place. I do feel as though this movie had a lot of missed opportunities, and with that, if there's a sequel, then they can just play with that and hopefully we can get what we really want to see. But they did do a good job with giving us awesome kills and hilarious situations, plus some really great killers. We had some good practical effects, we had some nice costume designs. This film does suffer with its third act, but the ride to that third act was very enjoyable, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4 Captain Rhodes throwbacks out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.